Well, it's been a while, hasn't it? Since I've been out here. Feels like months. There's not a lot you can do at this time of year. We've been down to -7 up here. And there's absolutely nothing you can do once the weather's like this. I've just been wandering around from time to time and having a look. Just waiting for the big thaw that's bound to come at some point. And then we can assess what's working still and what's had it. Yeah, it's a nightmare when you can't get out, especially when you're a gardener and you're just itching to get out, but you know you can't do anything and you're going to do more harm than good. So you just got to leave it alone. It's all a bit dodgy around here because I've got these paths. I've got this quarry tile path here, and you've got to be careful because it's a bit of a death trap at this time of year. Because I've not been able to do out, I spent a lot of time looking out the windows at areas that might be better improved. Making new plans for this new year. And this is going to change. This is one of the changes I'm going to make. I'm always making changes, as you know. And this is definitely going to be one of them. Now that grid that you can see there is very, very heavy. But I've decided it's not really working anymore. I don't know if it ever did work really. The planting that I've got there is okay. We've got a eupatorium just behind it, and to the right you can see the grass. And they've never really grown properly and produced what they're capable of. And I think that in part is due to the fact they're not getting enough sun there. It could be the elder to the left of them, which is now leafless, which is there. You can see the twiggy stuff. It could be due to that because that does create a lot of shade at the time when these need a lot of sun. So probably my fault. We all make mistakes, and maybe that's a little bit of a mistake. So I'm rethinking what I should do, and I think I'm going to just remove that to start with, remove the grid. The decking will then be exposed a little bit more, which could be quite nice. And I might go for a replant in that area. Plant it with something more in keeping. I don't know what yet. I've been thinking about this, what I could put in there, and I just don't know. Just got to wait a bit longer and let's see what we can do with it. The grass looks okay. It probably won't hurt me to move it just slightly towards me by a couple of foot, because I do like that grass. I do like it there as well. Eupatorium, not so sure about. Eupatorium is this one here. I mean, it has lovely winter seed heads. I put that eupatorium there deliberately because it has a lovely scent, and when we sat out on the deck it'll smell quite nice, and it does to a degree, but I think it could be better. So we've got to have a rethink. So over time I'll probably change that. Yeah, it really is cold though here. It really is. These grasses are still looking good. It's too early to cut back. We're in January, second week in January. It's just too early. I'm not going to do any cutting back yet. I know a lot of people do. A lot of the newcomers and the amateurs tend to cut back really early. And you really shouldn't do it. You should just leave it alone, because we will get this sort of weather. And people cut back far too soon. Leave it alone. This garden will only take me about a day and a half to cut down completely and get rid of all the dead stuff. But while it's providing a home for the insects, I'm going to leave it alone. This silver birch is looking really green now. Really green. Just can't do anything about it. It's getting quite tall now. What's that now? 7, 8, 9 foot, I reckon now. It's looking really good. Don't forget I've been working on that, getting its shape looking nice. And it does look good. It really does look good. I mean, the winter silhouette of that tree is brilliant. Really nice. In fact, I should have paired it really with one of the dogwoods. Midwinter fire would be good around that, and it would be really nice at this time of year. I mean, I'm surprised I hadn't gone for something like that inside that sheep bale feeder where the grasses are. Probably, but then it would spoil the effect of the bark itself. Although midwinter fire is a lovely orangey red branched little shrub at this time of year, it would probably dominate more, whereas I wanted the white of the birch to do the talking in that area. Now this is a euphorbia, one of the wolfenny eyes, and it does this when we've had frost. A lot of plants, to be honest, do this when we get frost on them. They all sort of reflex back, kind of a protection mode they go into. But I'm not worried, because it will be fine. As soon as the heat comes back, as soon as the warmth comes back in the air, it will be fine. It'll bounce back and be absolutely fine. But for now, it's tucked itself away, as have other plants as well. The water in the wildlife dip pools is completely solid now. Nothing's getting in there. I really need to break that down so that the birds can get some water. Or at least help them get some water. Everything's in a winter slumber, sleeping, doing nothing. I guess a lot of us gardeners are itching to get out there. Look, there's one of my compost bags there, just blown in all that wind we had not that long back. There's that euphorbia. That's Euphorbia cross pasterii that I keep saying he's not hardy as we'd like it to be. And it will, believe it or not, that will bounce back. It looks terrible at the moment, but even in the temperatures we've had, it seems to be doing all right. I know it looks terrible and you think that's going to die, but it probably won't. In fact, I know it won't. But it will require some cutting back on my part once we get through this cold snap. I'll leave it alone for now. I noticed the Hellebore over there, the really nice one. Where are we? There. It's looking really nice now. That's the Argutifolia, or Argutifolius. Really nice, the Corsican Hellebore. And he's flowering. Yeah, it's not got lots of colour in it, but I like it nevertheless. It does look good. That bamboo's looking good. It's really come on leaps and bounds in the last year and a half now. That is really starting to get a good size. The size that I want. Looking good. There's another one here. That's looking good. Even the viburnums reflexing, as you can see, all those leaves are reflexing down. Plants tend to do this once they get into this cold snap. It's kind of a protection mode for them. But when it's gone, they'll all bounce back and all will be good again. It's really crispy underfoot. In fact, I'm walking on some gravel at the moment and it's solid. Absolutely solid. This Fatsy is doing absolutely fantastic, actually. I'm surprised it hasn't died away a bit more. But it hasn't. It's doing fine. So it's looking really good. Excellent, actually. Yeah, there's not a lot of damage there at the moment. At the moment, that could change. But it's looking good. And I've done the right thing in actually putting it in. I always say this. Try and get these into a protected area because we are going to get this type of weather. And it is going to knock them back. But this one's doing okay. Very architectural as well. Right next to the shack, as you can see. And it does look good. There's another Hellebore here. Let's get a closer look at this one. This is what most people like in Hellebores. They like pretty flowers. Now unfortunately that flower's nodding its head the wrong way. And that one's Winter Moonbeam. Nice leaf. And I've moved it again, as I said in a previous video, that I kept losing this one because I was pruning it in areas where I'd forgot it was. So when it dies away, as it inevitably does at some point, it was gone and I'd forgot about it, and I would plant a shrub or another plant there and forget totally about it. And then I found it. So I've put it here because I'm hoping I won't forget about it now and it'll be okay. But we'll see. You never know. Oh, that obelisk looks good. That's 5GC knitted obelisk, and it's looking really good. I'm very impressed with this one. I think I'd like more of that one. I could easily split that if I wanted to. But for now, I'm not going to. I'm not going to bother at the moment. Just going to let it do its thing. It's looking good. Yeah, very impressed. Ace of Griseum's looking okay at the moment. I think I tend to walk around in this weather just to check out plants, to see what they're doing. But you can't really judge them at this point because they could still curl their toes up and go. You just don't know at the moment. Just got to wait. Let's go into the nook. Let's have a look, see what damage we've got in here. Oh, no, I forgot I'd put this here. So the bamboo in the corner, it does look terrible at the minute, and I did move it at the wrong time really. Maybe shouldn't have moved it, but I think it's going to be fine. Because I've protected it here, although it looks dead and dying, the likelihood is that's going to come back. And then all should be good again. So we just got to leave it at the minute. Don't despair. Let's move this out of the way. That's going the wrong side. Right. So as you can see, there's still bits of green in there. They're very hardy, although this isn't as hardy as I would like. It's one of the less hardy bamboos. It's looking okay. I've seen it look worse, believe it or not. But it does look sorry for itself. But you would if you'd been living out in this weather for the last, what, week and a half, if not 2 weeks. Horrible, horrible and cold. There's the other Fatsia japonica. If you remember, that used to be in that section there. But I moved it. I've put that in there. That's Viburnum cinnamomifolium. And it was okay where it was at the back of me, but I wanted it to be moved. Well, actually, that's a lie. I moved it because I wanted the bamboo there instead. I thought that would be a lot better choice for that corner eventually. Once it comes back to life, and hopefully it'll come back to life. It should do, it should be fine. What we got now, we've probably got another month and a half of sort of winter weather. Look at that. Usual trick, leaving the watering can in my way. Kick it out the way. Yeah, another month and a half and I think we'll be alright again. It does look sorry for itself. It really does. Now that bamboo I've just shown you, which is Thamna calmus, that's where it was, if you remember. It was in the Japanese garden. So we've got quite a bit of work to do in this little section at the minute, and I can't decide what I want to put there. In that dark section, I cannot decide. In fact, obelisk, the other bamboo, would have been a better choice, but I didn't have it at the time. So I didn't rush into putting anything else into there. I just wanted to give myself time to think about it, what I'm going to do. The Tory gate, the red thing there that you can see there, is definitely going to be moved now. I'm going to put that either there, in that section there, or it's going to go where these posts are, into one of those sections. I don't know where yet, but it's definitely going to be moved. That's a lovely, lovely miscanthus. something to look at when everything else is gone. Looking lovely. Ooh, there's another hellebore there. I forgot about this one. That's another Corsican hellebore. Not quite got its flowers out yet. So our gutifolius. And it was a seedling. I do remember finding that actually where it is at the moment, and I just left it alone. So I completely forgot about it because it's been getting covered with the grasses. Now this grass here, this is Anamanthele lesoniana. Quite a mouthful. It's in its third year, I think, So generally these things don't last forever, 3 or 4 years, maybe 5, 6 at a push. If you split it, you can get a bit longer out of them. But I generally let them get to the end of their natural life, and then I just remove them, because I know and I'm sure that I will find lots more of those. And I tend to leave some of them where they plant themselves, because that's always a good idea. They seem to put themselves just where they want to be and where they should be. But that one, I fear, may be on its last year. Who knows? It may be okay and make another 2 years. I don't know. I can't wait for this Acer to put its leaves back on. That's the twiggy thing here. It's looking okay. In fact, that would have been good in the Japanese garden, but it's too late now to actually lift that. I wouldn't risk it really. Probably in the spring I'd probably give it a go if I did want to move it, but I don't want to move it. I absolutely love it where it is. It's a lovely Acer, well worth seeking out. But it might have been good there. But as you can see, there's another little Acer there, just there, and an Acer there, and then an Acer at the back, in the background, the orangey yellow one. That's another Acer. 3 Acers in there already. What else could I put in there? I don't know. Maybe some type of tree would be okay. A bamboo is preferred, but I'm not making no decisions yet. I'm going to leave it alone. Is there anything else suffering up here? Well, everything's suffering, to be honest, including me. There's another grass, another pheasant tail grass, the Anamanthele that was just talked about. It didn't plonk itself there. It did actually plonk itself in this bed, but in a bit of a different area. So I've moved it to there because I know it's going to look good over time. Oh, doesn't it look terrible at this time of year? I just can't get in here though. You just shouldn't get in here. Spring will soon be upon us. There's another euphorbia here that I'm toying with removing completely. It's been in here 3 years, I think, now, and I think it's about 5 years old. It will live longer if I keep cutting back, but it's getting woodier and woodier into the middle, which is what they do. But they come to a point where they don't look as good as when I first put it in. In fact, it's reached it now, to be honest. So it's either remove it, replace it with something else, or leave it alone for another year. I don't know. We'll wait till spring comes, because it is starting to put out its flowers, as you can see. They're the flowers, but they're going to come to nothing yet. Just got to leave those at the minute. They are lovely. And there is a bamboo behind it. And that's quite a nice bamboo. And that's not a very tall bamboo either. I bet that doesn't make no more than 8 foot. And it's a clumper again, obviously. I always get clumpers. It's okay. This rose looks good. Starting to form its own network. There's one I've missed here. I've not actually pruned this one yet. I've left it alone because I wanted to give it a little bit more of a proper look at. Sometimes you can just get in there and just go aimlessly hacking away and ending up making mistakes. And I didn't want to on this one, because it's starting to make a lovely framework. You can see from bits and bobs like this what I've been doing with it, and now I'm trying to encourage it to grow in different sections. I'm trying to get it to actually tie itself up to that wood above it. As you can see, this bit that's wobbling, I needed to get it higher really. And all in good time, that will happen. I'm sure it will happen. But it pays to just take your time with some of them. And that's one I am going to take my time with. That's a nice view. Very nice view. keep thinking about whether I need more plants. And to be quite honest, I don't need more plants, but the likelihood is I will get some new plants. I'm considering getting another little shrub, one of the Amelanchias that I already had. In actual fact, let's have a look. Let's go back to the section. Now, I had an Amelanchia called Omnifolia obelisk, which lived here. And I didn't think it was doing very well, because I didn't give it long enough, to be quite honest with you. And I gave it away to my friend. I've come across 2 more in a garden centre that are quite tall, that will be as tall as that one that I had. In fact, it came from the same garden centre originally, and I suspect the 2 that are still left there were the ones that was there when I bought mine, because they appear to be a good size now, which suggests that they were the ones that were there. So I might get another one, but I'm not going to put it here. Not going to put it in here, because I put this Stipa gigantea. That's looking all right, actually. I'm not very successful with Stipa giganteas. I never have been. But I think finally I've got one that's enjoying the place it's in. And hopefully that will survive. And I want it to survive because it's one of the very, very early flowerers. And it continues looking good all through the year once it does start. So I look forward to that. Still looking great. This is Ace of David Eye. This one called Viper. The snakebark maples. It looks great. I mean, it's so much bigger than when I put it in, as are all my plants, to be honest. And I've been doing some work on it, as you know. I've been trimming and pruning and getting the shape right. And you should do that early on in the plant's life, or the shrub or the tree's life. You should always work on them quite early on. Don't just leave them to their own devices, or you'll end up with a right bird's nest of a mess. Actually, some birds' nests are quite tidy, aren't they? But this, I fear, wouldn't have been had I not done a lot of work on it, and it's looking good. You can see all the buds are starting to swell. Only a little bit, but that gives me hope of what's to come on this cold day. I'm in the gravel area at the minute. I love this area. I really do love it. Just spotted this. This is an ivy called Buttercup, and you can see why it's called Buttercup. And I really like this one. I've always liked this one. I've had it in every house I've been in. It looks a bit sickly at the minute, but as spring comes in, the look of that will improve no end. And I love growing it up. It's more controllable than some ivies. I've got bits of it all over the place. And they're so easy to take little cuttings off. You literally, I'll just tell you while I'm here. I wouldn't do it yet, obviously, in this weather. But something like this, I would snap it off there, cut it off, strip back the bottom leaves and stick it in some compost and just leave it and just forget about it. And before you know it, there'll be roots in there and you've got another free plant. Pines always look good through winter, always. And this one looks great. It's one of the Mugos. Quite tall now. I did buy it as quite a big specimen, but it was only half the size of that. And again, I've been doing some work on this one. I've been pruning it a little bit to get a nice shape, and I shall continue to do that until I'm happy with it. I'm allowing it to get taller because I want it to get taller. Some Mugos are small, like the Pumila. They're very small, but this one's just an ordinary type Mugo, and I suspect it could get up to 10, 12 foot maybe. Who knows? And I do want it to get taller than it is, because as it gets taller, I will expose the lower trunk, or the lower trunks, because there's a few of them. I will expose those, and it will have an altogether different look at that point, because gardening is about change. And I fully intend to keep changing it. They never stay still. And neither should they. You should always aim to make it look better if you can. If you can get the framework of the garden looking good, then you're onto a winner. And this is why I get the features and the paths and the trees and the shrubs in the right place. Because once they're in the right place, you can play about with it, no end. And you should play about with it. Don't leave it to stay static. because they become very boring. So it's looking good. Right, let's negotiate these steps. I'm taking my life into my hands at the minute, coming down these. They're so icy. I was thinking about this again the other day, and this one here is a Ria Mostrale, and I've come to realise that it would be safe to put it in the garden. I was told that it was very invasive, but I've never planted it in the garden to test that theory out. Now I'm convinced that that's going to be okay. Having seen it at Bressingham Gardens, I'm convinced I can let that out in that area anyway, for sure. It may pay me to take these grasses out, or one of the grasses at least, to give it a bit of space. But who knows? Leaves have now fallen off this miscanthus, and it'll pay me to either leave them alone or chop them up and leave them as a mulch, or lift them and just get rid of them. Well, get them onto my compost heap that I've now got. That sedum's nice at this time of year. Just have this lovely seed head. They look fantastic. I mean, a lot of people don't see beauty in that, but I do. The show goes on when you've got things like this. Don't be too quick to cut them down. Going back to the gardens moving on, you should always look to make changes, subtle changes sometimes, but changes nevertheless, or your garden will become boring and you will be bored of it. I can almost guarantee that. And I change all the time. I'm always changing my garden. I just love changing things around. I like to make it look better, and you get a bit bored yourself of it. But once the framework's there, you're okay. You're okay to change little things. But sometimes you have to leave things alone, because otherwise you're going to end up with a garden that nobody really recognises. By that I mean, if you've got a nice structure and suddenly you take out a major part, say like the floating deck I've got there in front, it suddenly disappears. You think, oh. So change is good, always good. Like I say, I'm always looking to make changes. Not sure about this Pittosporum at the moment. Not sure at all, and I'll tell you why. Because part of it does want to come across the path, but I'm desperately trying to keep it so that this left side of it goes up in the air as opposed to across the path at the moment. I need it to go about another 6 feet up before I can make it come across the path. So again, it forms kind of a tunnel, and that encourages you to go through. When you see little tunnely bits like that, it definitely encourages you to go through, which is why you've got to get your design right at the beginning. Blooming heck, the boardwalk looks a bit dodgy. I definitely aren't walking on that. Definitely slip on that. Flipping heck. Ain't it horrible at this time of year? I try and embrace it a bit. I really do, but you get to a point eventually where you've just had enough of it. Oh, the moon looks nice up in the sky. It never looks very close when you look at it through a camera. It certainly looks closer than that when I'm not looking through the camera. Beautiful though. Oh look, the pigeons, they're waiting to come into my garden. Look at them. They're thinking we'll be over there in a minute and we're finding seeds, but that's okay. Live and let live. Leave them alone. I've said before, I took my bird feeders out, and to be quite honest, we're at a point where I ought to maybe get a bit of seed and put them out for the birds, but I know there's lots of people around this area that are feeding them, so I'm not too worried about the birds. Oh look, a bit of new growth. There we go, look. This is Rosa Gertrude Jekyll. Signs of life. Signs of what's to come. But we've just got to wait a bit longer. Wait a bit longer for that. It's very crunchy underfoot. Very crunchy. Quite nice actually. It's quite nice walking through the garden when it's like this, because you know you're going to walk back in without mud on your feet. Whereas when all this goes, and it's likely to in the next week or two, we'll be back to mucky feet, mucky wellies, and whatever. I think once this frost really does go though, a lot of the plants will be really dishevelled, and I really will have to make a start on one or two of them and take them down, get them out. But that'll be fine as well. Look at this rose. This is Rosa rugosa. It is so spiky. Look at it. It's an animal. I know a lot of people have cut themselves really badly on these roses. If you're not used to them, I'm used to them. I've been growing them for years and years. But if you're not used to them, you've got to be so careful with them. They'll rip you to bits. So spiky. It's clever, really. It's a defensive mechanism. Stop all the animals eating them. And it works as well. Hips are not looking so great nowadays, but that's quite beautiful actually when you look at that. Yeah, it is quite beautiful. I'm not going to do a lot to it because I've already done the work on it, but there are little bits of sections I can see that will probably require further pruning as spring comes in. But I'm trying to keep that shape. It's going to get quite tall. I'm not quite sure how tall that will make it here. Oh, we'll see. There's that bamboo up there, look. That's that Flamnicalmus when we went into the nook. There's the rest of them there. They look dishevelled. I shall leave them alone and forget about them. And they should hopefully come back. Well, they will come back. And then here we've got some Cortadera, and this is the Patagonia one. I split one when I moved it. And there's the rest of them. Looking good, actually. Looking very good. I can't even do anything in the greenhouse at the minute because the compost is too hard. You can't do it with it. And then we've got these little seedlings. I came in here the other day and they look terrible. I think they desperately need water, but I'm not going to water them because I don't want to put them at risk. What's been in here? Someone has been in here. Something's definitely been on those seedlings. Anyway, I desperately don't want to water at the minute because that's just going to cause too many problems, but I fear I might have to. But they were looking terrible the other day. They'd all folded in completely and looking almost black, and there comes a point when they will die off if the weather doesn't change a little bit and I can't water them. That's not looking healthy. I'm not looking at. I'm waffling away here behind the camera. Just looking at these, they're at different phases. This is the elder that I took cuttings of. Black Tower, although they're not black at the minute, they've gone back to green. They feel okay. Again, time will tell. And then lots of those Euphorbia cross pasterii cuttings. This Euphorbia here, as it says here, I was right on them. I was right on the labels, because honestly, you will forget if you don't. And I've put Euphorbia seedling near Miner's Merlot. And it was a seedling that dropped under Miner's Merlot last year when I first bought Miner's Merlot, which is a lovely Euphorbia. And it's got a lovely colour. And this seedling dropped, and I thought I'll keep that because you never know where it's going to turn into. And it'll either look like its parent, or it won't look like its parent. It'll revert back to whatever it was before, which I don't know. Yeah, everything's looking a bit sorry for itself. I pulled this in. This is China Clover rubra, and it's one I did have in the garden originally, but wasn't doing great where it was. So I've potted it up last year, and I've brought it in here to help to protect it. Although it can take the conditions that we've got, it's in a pot, and it's not so good in a pot. In the garden, it'll not be too bad, but in a pot, they tend to not be so good. So you've got to give them some sort of a protection. Hopefully that'll be okay. Right. I think there's a lot else I want to talk about. I just wanted to come out and do a little bit of a video for you all to show you what's happening up at Grassy Bottom. I'm sure we're all in the same boat at the minute. There's not a lot to look at or to do for a lot of you. Whereas up at Grassy Bottom, all the grasses are doing it. They're keeping the show running. That's why I keep telling you to get some grasses. Do you listen to me? I don't know, a few of you do. It's great to hear your own gardens are doing well. It's great when you respond to my videos. I do enjoy that. I like that interaction, the questions. So keep doing it, keep sending me questions, keep asking about the grasses as well, and other plants, not just grasses. Right, I think I'm going to call it a day because I'm really cold, and the light's starting to go. So I shall talk to you on the next one. Ta-da.